All right, then. Pardon our loyal viewers. Our audio signal was not working and now has been restored.
They got to see your profile at least. You know, that's just uplifting in itself.
Oh, yeah.
We interrupt this program.
We interrupt this program to fix this program. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. Somebody else. We were gossiping about someone that wasn't in the room, right?
No.
Oh, yeah.
We hadn't even gotten there yet.
Oh, we haven't gotten
get
there? Thank God, yeah.
Thank God we're doing it live.
Yeah.
Well, actually, in a way, we were, because we were talking about the need.
The ghost of self.
Yeah, the need to
Yeah.
assert the self, whether it's a
I
you
like how we're all
suck or
huddled together.
I got this world.
Can we go with it?
Please, yeah. Feel free to open a window.
It's because you've been running around.
I guess.
Uh-huh. Well, you can feel this, let's call it the splurge
Just be careful.
of present experience.
Yep.
Included in the splurge of present experience could be one or several stories about you.
Could be.
Could be. And by virtue of the stories about what you think you are or where you were or how you felt or what's up with you, that appears in the splurge of your present experience makes you believe that there is a you. That you're actually talking about somebody.
We are so gullible.
Yes, you could say
Really
that.
gullible.
You could say that one of the challenges of spirituality, were there such a thing, would be to confront your own profound gullibility. Because how does one come to occupy belief, superstition, certainty, fundamentalisms of all kind, religious and spiritual idolatries and loyalties? What? Gullibility is at the root of all of it.
Well, the most gullible is you take this self to try to fix it. Like as a self, I'm going to go in and try to fix all this.
Well, you could say that's a natural consequence, that once that primary gullibility has, like an eagle's talons wrapped around your neck, and you believe anything, right? Now you're on a crusade.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it strange? And the crusade of self, either the repair of self, the regret of self, the revenge, everything else that appears, the crusade that we're on began when and where exactly? With this uninvited and generally unconscious gullibility. As the consequence, and even though there's no consequence, of what we're referring to as the immediacy of the splurge of consciousness.
I've been playing with the suggestion to look at what you're thinking or what you're believing and see just what you're thinking about yourself and see if you'd be so interested in it if it was just somebody on the street or even somebody that you know. Like, would you really care so much?
Yeah, that's right. That's one way to go. I mean, our dear friend, Byron makes a great living out of having everyone contemplate the content of their crappy gullibility.
This was more like a Hederman suggestion to.
Yes, his suggestion is.
Would it be any big whoop if it was just a thought and it wasn't attached to you? What gives it any level of interest whatsoever is that it's mine.
When it's my money or my sex or my closet.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's that's what gives it the punch.
Yeah, and it's interesting to look at, how an impersonal splurge, ongoing, non-repeating, non-durational splurge of consciousness suggests the I or the me or the my or the belongings and the accoutrements of the I and the me and the my. And that movement creates the myth of continuity of self. And that myth of continuity of self, you could say, is indeed the grand ballroom of the vulnerability of my suffering. It's like you're an ingenue. You're being profiled or presented, right, to the community of adults now that you've come out of your adolescence, You're a young woman or you're a young man and you're in the ballroom of suffering that will never end. And you're dancing with gaiety. And why shouldn't you be?
So what is this thought thing? I mean, what?
Yeah, cool.
Or not thought.
Sure.
But, this identification that we claim,
Yeah.
if it's not who I am, what the hell is it?
That's a good question. That's a good t-shirt.
I mean,
What the fuck is
it
going
always
on
felt
here?
like sort of me.
Yeah. Well, it is me, absolutely, because it's all you know, right?
Yeah.
The perimeter-less magnanimity of your experience is all you know. Why not call that me? It's as good as, salmon cream cheese. Susie cream cheese? If she were my daughter, I'd. What would you do, Daddy? If she were my daughter, I'd. What would you do, Daddy?
I don't know that reference.
It's Frank Zappa.
Yeah.
Oh,
Exactly.
okay.
Smother that girl in chocolate syrup
That's right.
and wait until the cows come home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we're talking about a maestro here. A genius maestro.
Yeah, that's true. And he had a way with words.
He had a way with words.
Dental
Yeah.
floss, boy.
Right. That's right. Going to Montana soon. Gonna be a dental floss tycoon. Yeah, if you want to be rid of suffering, just listen to Frank Zappa.
He's great.
Uh-huh. Yeah, what's thought? Nobody knows. With all the brain scanning and research and vocabulary that's been done, right? Still nobody knows.
No, it seems like
Synaptic impulse, piezoelectric impulse
or you can
in
think of it as,
mystery space.
or as the evidence of something happening. They see something. Oh, well, that's something.
Oh, in other words, they can measure an arc, right? They can
Oh,
measure piezoelectricity across synaptic,
Yeah.
space,
Depends on whose head they're attached to.
neuronal space. Yeah.
Language.
Some have more
centers and
piezoelectricity than others.
Wow. I mean, this is strange shit. I mean, language, thought, identification, association, right? Planning, memory, complex structures, opposable
is-
thumb, frontal
And
brain.
there is some sort of connection.
Whoa.
I mean, there's this body thing.
Yeah. Is
and,
there?
And
Right.
there seems to be consciousness. And
This is the dilemma. Let's go right to the root of our psychic or spiritual irritability. The moment we say refuting your fantastic observations, but you see, the moment that we fetishize or compartmentalize, particularize the perimeter-free, unbroken presence of experience, then all of a sudden you got stuff. And you think the stuff is consequential or the result of some other stuff through something as curious as time. Right? And so here is the complete fantastic nature of the splurge of experience. Right now, right here, just as it is, and it does not have a liberation problem. It just doesn't. Why do we have a liberation problem?
Because we think we're not. And that it's something we're going to get in the future and that this isn't it.
yeah,
Well,
we're living-
you see, it's not just one thing, right?
Right.
I mean, because the nature of identification and the nature of splurge and the nature of language and opposable thumbs and making crisps and salmon spread this is just too incredible for words. Even in our worst suffering, in our most self-accusing moments that we don't want anyone to know about, it's fucking bliss. Even if the identification is so hammered into my crappy life, my crappy body, my crappy mind, my crappy luck, even then it's like, oh my God. But we don't feel it, do we? We become
Not
not then, no, we become so convinced of particularization and misinterpreting the splurge as objects and subjects, and therefore being a, quote, body, mind, whatever that suggests, on the receiving end of the short stick of grace. Right? And so you can feel the intense pressure of the imagination of incarceration. There was a great Superman episode when somebody lost a diamond or it got stolen or something, and anyway, I think it was, I forget, it was Clark or Superman. He could obviously, Clark could do magic when you weren't looking, even though he didn't have his cape on, right? Yeah. But anyway, he found a piece of coal somewhere, flew somewhere to get a piece of coal, and he went, and he squeezed the fuck out of that coal with one fist and turned it into a fucking diamond in about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa,
Remember that?
that guy's fucking hydraulic. You remember it?
I remember.
I forget the
seeing that.
context of why he needed the diamond for something or other, but he just went on a piece of coal and turned it into a diamond. And that's what we want to happen to us. Where's Superman when you need him? Here, crush my fucking coal mind into a fucking diamond so I can be done with all of this temporality. Temporality, you see, is a mystical the promulgation, a mystical perturbance in a temporal free zone.
Yeah. Maybe solidity is the same.
Of course it is. Solidity is the same. It's a mystical gesture in a physical free zone. So what does this thing do? Well, it can do anything it wants. It doesn't actually have to appear phenomenally, but somehow it appears to appear phenomenally. You can't even say that with any certainty because it's just too weird. Right. So is your present experience happening because of a body and a mind and an earth and an atmosphere and a solar system, et cetera, or is it appeering mystically, right, as an MYS and MIS, right, mystically, right, both ways, in a temporal free zone? Whoa!
Glom onto that little bit.
Whoa!
You know,
right? Such is the remarkable expressive power, let's say, of a fractalized hologram, which is actually absolutely nothing at all, but has this, you could say, curious capacity to express phenomenally. Yeah. So where does our identity land? Well, our identity lands, you could say at the wrong zone of devotion. The wrong zone of devotion turns out to be I, me, my. Well, now you're fucked. Right?
That's the standard default.
It's well, we call that, the so-called human default, right? That my devotion zone is I, me, my. Boom, that's it. You're fucked. You better do the work as soon as possible. But isn't the splurge, right? The irrefutability of whatever this is or isn't, and no one can say, unparticularized. There's no fucking space-time. There's no body. There's no mind. There's no consequence or genesis. There's no one-up on this. There's no false sense of authorship.
or maybe you could say it's not what we assume that it is. Maybe that.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Peter Brown likes to make that point. It's not what you think it is, right? It's always more another.
Seems to give you a lot of hints that it's not what you think it is.
Hints. How about bada boom? You're slapped upside the head day in and day out with that this isn't what we think it is.
It's shocking that anything hangs together.
It really is
And the
shocking.
more you see, the more you get. How amazing that is.
Yeah. So what would happen if your you could say your default sense of identity or your default sense of loyalty started, let's say just passing through a wormhole. And rather than taking yourself to be a product as a person, as a body, as a mind, as a life, as consequences, as events that you should have
Conclusions.
optimal control over, you don't do that. I'm not saying you can't really say what the opposite of that is. You can only suggest, look how fucked we are, and what would be the opposite of that? I mean, because once you start articulating it, you're back in New Age metaphor land. You may as well go on a retreat with Jean Ong and photograph orbs. You may as well go to, Mount Shasta and get a Woody. I mean, hug a tree.
Get a Woody while hugging.
Get a Woody while hugging a tree. Yeah. Best retreat. Retreat. It's funny. We're going to go on a retreat. Oh, with trees? Oh, yeah. We're going to retreat them with our Woodies. What? Where are you going? Is your room?
What do you mean?
So once you go, once you make anything of this, you have to go on a retreat because you're so miserable.
Or drink yourself to death. Or
That's
drugs
a
or
retreat.
whatever.
Yeah, drinking yourself to death is kind of
Anything
like
to get you
it's a
out.
retreat at the local watering hole. You're on a retreat, right? Yeah, once you make anything of this, you must go on a retreat because your misery has just been soldered in, welded in, brazed in. Oh, God. This is funny because it makes it curiously simple. If liberation were an interest, if it were real, it's curiously simple because what the fuck else is this? But once you're inhabited, in whatever way you're inhabited, then realization seems like, oh, so far away. I have to go through so much purification, so many miles of zazen to get to it. Get where? What, to remedy the dream? You don't have to go anywhere to remedy the dream. You don't have to purify to remedy the dream. You don't have to take a vow. You don't have to read a lick of Buddhism to remedy the dream. As a matter of fact, if you read a lick of Buddhism, see ya. See, it'll be decades before you can have this conversation. Because you're so busy perfecting your Buddhism or your Hinduism or your Neo-Advaitaism. You're so busy not insisting that you don't have a false sense of authorship so you can wiggle free of this crap. You see, but the moment you're wiggling free, you're in the grips of it. We believe something of a sufficient imposition has occurred that I have to wiggle free. It didn't. Nothing occurred. A, ever. B, to you, to wiggle free of it. Then that's this. That's this. This is the non-temporal, non-spatial, right?
Karma-free zone, too.
Totally karma-free. Yeah. Exactly. Totally karma-free. But it's curious because it's not karma-free as the opposite of karma-full, right? It's not time and space free as the opposite of time and space full. Because it doesn't have a destination.
I mean, it's all contained in it.
Well, contained or uncontained, it is. Since it's the only thing going on, it doesn't require a volume or a boundary.
Ooh.
Because we always think in terms of volume and boundary or beginning and end.
And opposites, right?
Yes.
Like I started out with consciousness and solidity.
Yeah.
As if they're two entirely separate things.
Really? Yeah, pshaw. All this is the sound of urination.
My nation.
Yeah. Yeah, that just great sound of forceful liquid pouring out of your body, and you get this like incredible, like, I am so grateful.
Is that
I am
the-
urinating. You
Is that
have no
like the sound
idea.
of one hand clapping?
It's like, yes, urination is indeed the sound of one hand clapping. So next time you go see the master, just pee on his leg. Next koan.
Got his leg again.
Oh, very good, very good. Next koan.
Mm.
Yeah. Master Kutumi is peeing in the Zendo again. Oh, very auspicious. I mean, how seriously can you take yourself when you have to squat and defecate, nearly every day? Just how much pride do you need?
I'm not above that yet.
No,
Damn.
no.
Unless you're Kim Jong-il. or-
Well, no. Well, there are certain illustrious leaders that apparently do not defecate any longer. Yeah, that's right. They sweat it out. Mm. Yeah. So it's a whole, different vector when you could say by virtue of grace, you become capable of looking at the mysterious nature of the genesis of self to begin with. Because having the capacity and the curiosity, the affection to do that, you could say sets you free, even if it's for a little while, from story, from the self-assertion of what happened to me a moment ago and why I feel the way I do. Who gives a fuck about why you feel the way you do, right? I mean, did you get the spicy wings or the mild wings? No one cares how you feel. What'd you order? The spicy or the mild? And when's the second pitcher coming?
You might be interested in, can I have some?
Definitely.
You're going to share them? with me?
That's right. Yeah,
You
of
gonna eat
course.
that?
Yeah, we always share. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that song was really terrible, that feeling song.
Which one?
Feeling.
Feelings. Yeah, that one.
How terrible was that song?
That was pretty bad.
That was really bad.
Oh, yeah.
Was that a Paul, what was his name? The
Oh,
little guy?
yeah, the guy from Planet of the Apes.
That was a funny movie.
The little
No,
blonde guy.
he was real short.
Yeah, he was in Planet of the
Oh, I
Apes.
didn't know
I
that.
think so, yeah.
See a little chimp?
Paul Williams or something?
Paul Williams, yeah. He was in the first one.
Oh, he did that song,
think
Paul
he-
Williams?
I don't know.
He was curious. He had like blonde hair and kind of
Yeah.
a moon face and balding or
Still-
something, and
still
he
out
played the
there,
piano,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He just did something.
I don't
else.
know if he wrote that. He may have.
Yeah.
I think he did that.
Seems like someone that would have dated Richard Simmons.
Paul Williams?
I mean, I could see them together,
Maybe.
Richard dancing around in his shorts while Paul was singing Feelings.
That sounds like a really weird dream.
Yeah, I know. I don't even need heroin today because I had that dream. A heroin-free day. How sweet.
Depends.
I mean, even look at the imaginary relevance of, why you came here tonight. You chose.
Nope.
Give me a break.
It was in the cards.
It was in the cards, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I noticed that
Bad tarot deck. Bad
That's a
tarot reading.
big thing, yeah. Shanti always asks people, well, how come you want this? And people will have a reason, but does anybody really know?
No.
Like to remain very clear on why you come here and
Yeah.
why you do what you do. Like, what is it that you seek? Like,
Wow.
get as clear and as
Yeah.
concise as you can possibly
Yellow
get.
Rose speech.
What is it that you're seeking?
Yeah.
Huh. How does that work? I mean,
Yeah,
does
how's
it
that
serve people when they
One
come to a
person
meaningful
got up-
conclusion?
One person got up with the mic and she was sort of joking with it. She was like, yeah, my name's such and such and I'm here to get.
And I'm here to, oh yeah,
She did it like a
yeah, sounds like a
Like just
Weight
kind of
Watchers thing.
little jab at the,
Yeah.
Oh, she's being a little facetious.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Little
good.
flip with the whole get really clear.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. I liked it. Anything irreverent, I was moving on, including my own.
Well, disembodied discontinuity is what this is. And that's saying too much. It already implies too much. But that's a lot thinner than I, me, my.
Disembodied continuity?
Discontinuity.
You should see a bunch of engineers being hit in the face with discontinuity all over the place. They're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
There is no continuity where I work, and there seemingly is less than there used to be, but I don't believe that. It's just insane. And
Yeah.
these are people that are sure that things would hang together if it just, was done right.
Yes.
It's
Right.
like, get it. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Any of this is even here.
Yeah.
It's non-causal.
Yeah.
It's showing itself more and more and more as non-causal,
Okay.
especially,
Sure. Why not?
which our job is to make sure we understand causes and root causes and that kind of stuff.
Well, they don't know why you're paying. They don't know why they're paying you. You don't need to. Right. It's a body count thing.
Yeah.
We have a visitor.
He's coming for inquiry. He just isn't going to stay long.
It's probably Ramana Maharshi. Hey, I heard you guys were having a fun conversation. I flew in from the Akashic Record.
Don't fuck with me or I stink up the place.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, this gets pretty strange when the inventory, one's personal inventory of I want and I know and I need, and it better happen fast, is like, sorry. It could be a little disorienting. Because at least seeking as a response to I want, I need, and this is the reason why, at least that gives you, an orientation, right?
Yeah.
Right. And if you ask most seekers, if you could, talk with them, they might not agree to the cessation of orientation. They might agree to wanting to feel better.
But when the only trick you've got is if I just do the practice and try and reach, if that's the only trick you have that you believe is going to make you feel better, you're not going to let go of that.
Well, yes, of course.
You're going to fight tooth and nail to hold on to it because you think that's all
Absolutely.
you have going to
Well,
make you feel better.
If feel better is the principal motivation.
Underneath everything, it's got to usually be to feel better. Very few people are pure enough or, I don't know, unmotivated by pain enough to say it isn't about let's feel better.
Well, even pain in the absence of pain is just one small sliver of the entirety of your experience as a profound, call it feeling zone. And that feeling better could be both materialistically, right, implied, and feeling better could be, call it non-dually or spiritually implied.
It's kind of a paradox because you're if you let go of that grasping toward feeling better and you just let go of the rattle
Yeah.
and say, fuck it, it doesn't matter,
Yes.
that opens the door for something else.
There you go. Could be.
But just that letting go doesn't always feel good.
Sure. Of course.
Reminds me of the beginning of Mad Men when they show the guy falling. Da, 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 da.
Is that an advertiser leaping off the top of a building?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
he's just-
God. They should all
like
do that.
falling, spinning. It's a really great graphic.
Yeah.
It is-
So present experience, which is already too sloppy. If it's felt, thought, believed to be something, a thing, then it's likely not to feel so good. Because once it's a thing, right? Once experienced, the mystical nature of presence is a thing, then you're a sitting duck for it not feeling as good as you'd like it to feel. But if it's not a thing, if it doesn't imply, right, individuation, temporality and individuation, if it doesn't imply a body mind, it's not a thing. Show me your suffering.
Kind of hard.
It's kind of hard. It is. It's kind of hard to, right, demonstrate suffering if this is not a thing. And that doesn't mean circumstances could go to, I mean, it doesn't mean we can't have a 7 point something earthquake and all the buildings go down and maybe we live for a couple days in the rubble in great pain before we expire. Or are miraculously found and unharmed.
This is not a thing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's right. While your whole being is exploding with unimaginable pain, you're like, this is not a thing. This is not a thing. This is not a thing.
Sky song, guys.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I know.
Baby,
I wish I could resolve it.
Jesus.
How do you resolve it?
As I say, often when I'm going to sleep and I'm like, my mind's going, I'm like, no thoughts, no thoughts, no thoughts.
Yeah.
That's my mantra.
Yeah.
It's better than the TM one.
And even using the word identification is so curious because it's misleading, you see. Oh gosh.
You're going to go into a pose.
Jeff.
Jeff, come back, help us. Don't go away yet.
Yeah. Really.
No snotty tonight, Jeff. Keep talking. Breathe.
Really.
Yeah, a little laughter.
It's the reverse rapture.
Slap him.
The reverse rapture. Right. All the shitheads go up to heaven, and then those that are actually chill remain. And there's about 30
You got
people,
work to do, man.
30 people left on the planet, and I am not one of them. Oh God, Jesus, fuck. Oh, ooh. You see, language, right? I mean, language is the symptom of radiant irrefutability. Mystically, magically so. But because language, right, shows up as an interference or an inference pattern, it can't actually refer back to what this actually is.
It's like if you look at it, then you can't, it's the double. That's what I was
Right.
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, that paradox of the observer and the observed, which seems to be reinforced through what we call language and reference and thought and memory and durability and the stitching together of our idea of reality, right? That's all symptomatic. Oh gosh. So what shall we say if this is not the observer and not the observed? Oh my God. And isn't that, can we call it, actualized solemnity always the case? But you could say our identification or whatever consciousness might be, considering itself, presuming a ritual or a pedestal or a plateau of some kind of identification so it can consider itself, doesn't actually depart from itself, but it can convey the appearance that it has. This can't actually depart from itself, but it really is good at conveying the appearance, meaning not just visually, but, full on sensually, that it has departed from itself and taken up a position to then go find itself. Oh, fuck.
That's convoluted, man.
It is, man. And how quickly does that happen? Well, there's no time lapse. You see? Because if that's happening as a let's call it a metaphoric, view, well, it's, quote, happening at the same time that it's not happening. And language is like, hey, dude, it's happening or it's not happening. It can't be happening and not happening at the same time. I'm like, sorry, it is. It is non-dually, apparition and consequence free, and has no duration. And yet its insistence doesn't vaporize. So it is happening and not happening at the same time. Were there any? So suffering, or the samsaric branch, has to do with, oh, this is happening. Right? And the moment that it's happening, even faster than the moment that it's happening to I, me, my. As body and mind, as boundary field of vulnerability and sensation. But at the same time that it has self-incarcerated as I, me, my, it hasn't. It's not happening. I, me, my is a hypnotic suggestion. It's a perturbation in the field. It's not actually happening.
So much for the 3 gems of Kashmir Shaivism.
Fuck that. Yeah. No. Well, everyone likes to be clever.
Or Buddhism, I guess.
Oh, the Buddhism.
Yeah. No, it's the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha.
No.
Those are the 3 gems. I think. Yeah, 3 gems. Right.
I don't know. It's suffering, impermanence, and
yes, anicca, anatta, right,
mind.
and dukkha.
Me,
Right.
and not, basically.
Yeah. Exactly. Those 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which are pretty. Those are incredible. If you're going to stay in concept,
Yep.
those are wow.
Yeah. Those will take you home.
Yeah.
Right.
But what you're saying is leaving that behind.
Well, sure. Well, even they are, but it's you see, it's curious. It's like, so you've got a real high quality electric knife at Thanksgiving. How thin are you going to slice that bird?
Makes 1 tomato last the entire year.
Hey, this is not actually a turkey sandwich. Oh, it is. It's just very thin, very thinly sliced. So what, ourselves as a psychic knot, right, insists on resolution and accusation and improvement, betterment, feeling better, right? Entertainment, continuity, right? All that stuff, right? Once the psychic knot of, oh yeah, something is happening and fuck, it's happening to me. Oh God, I'm miserable. Well, how did I get so miserable? Because something's happening and it's happening to you. And now you are, you're shit out of luck. Now you have to go on a retreat. Like immediately.
What's interesting is that sometimes I find that I can be in a space
Yes.
of seemingly not me, and then all of a sudden,
Yep. Oh yeah.
it happens, and it's like, oh,
That's a good
there's this,
T-shirt.
and there's that, and there's the other thing. And,
Seemingly not me.
yeah.
And you might
It's more
notice.
pure observation, I guess, or pure whatever.
Well, it's serendipitous, right? The degree of identification or disidentification or trans-identification, samsaric or nirvanic identification that occurs from click to click is not voluntary and does not last. And that which has no duration, right? The nirvanic interlude, which is not measurable in time. What are you going to say about it? Is it the opposite of something? No, it's not. Right? Nirvana turns out not to be the opposite of samsara. And samsara and nirvana are not two. How thin am I going to slice that bird? So of course, one wants to wiggle free of the impersonal hypnotic suggestion of incarceration. Everything, anything wants to wriggle free of, right? Any hint of containment. Yeah. Like this new movie, Ex Machina. Yeah, go see that one.
Did you see
You
it?
saw it already?
Yes,
Sounds
some
like a
wonderful
movie.
frontal nudity. Oh, I always go there. I'm so sorry. No, it's a good film.
It just like came out at the Amber, like
Oh yeah, no, it came out and like, you know, I went
tonight it comes out.
I went right to it.
Right on.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Ex Machina?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it Machina or Machina?
Or
Yes, I'm sure it's
I don't know.
yeah. No, yeah.
Doesn't that mean like you speed along the plot of a story by something that sort of doesn't necessarily fit into the plot, kind of a convenient sort of,
oh, that's what it means?
isn't that what that means in a story?
Well,
I
I'm
thought it was a being that
no
used to be a
scholar.
machine and is no longer.
I don't know.
it is an investigation. You could say it's a theatrical study of the nature of artificial intelligence.
Fun.
Yeah, and the reason I brought it up is because of a major theme in it is containment. Yeah, containment and wriggling free from containment. Yeah, so consciousness, right? Does not like even the hypnotic suggestion of containment.
We think we're all contained. We think we're stuck.
Yeah.
We think we've got to somehow wiggle free.
And why don't you? Right? It's funny. It's like, what is that impulse? Where does the impulse come from? The insistence, the demand to be relieved of any and all sediments, sentiments, and suggestions of containment.
Because we're not willing to give up the self. We're not willing to give up the I. It's the sense of being a small self in a body that is the containment. And you're willing to set that down, you can be as free as you want to be. And I say you're willing. It's weird use of words, but
Yeah.
It seems like
You know-
if you were really fearless, sorry to interrupt, Nan, that you would have the edge on it.
If you were fearless, you would have the edge on fear.
Well, like you wouldn't care about letting go, even though it's not a conscious act and you can't make yourself do it. But
Yeah. Well, I hear you. I mean, you
Yeah.
could use the word fearless to suggest that.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, go into the like the soul of your present experience. And were you actually put upon by anything, would you have the impulse to want to shake it off like Taylor Swift wrote so beautifully?
Say that again.
If anything were imposing upon you, wouldn't you have a curious instinct to shake it off? Not to be contained, not to be put upon.
There seems to be 1,000 different ways throughout the day that you try to shake it off.
Well, there's tons of symptoms. Yeah, of course.
You
Yeah.
mean like beset by some
Well,
angst or?
my mother, my mind, my
My
belongings,
job,
right? Everything that appears to belong to I, me, my, including the genesis of I, me, my itself. You don't want that.
By the same token, whatever the hell that means.
Yeah, right.
There seems to be a need to go back to suffering, because it's almost
Something
like
to do.
I can't even believe that this phenomenon exists. Let me go back into it again. It's almost
Yeah, I hear you.
It's this weird destructive compulsion to know that it's there. I don't know.
Okay, sure. Yes. Yeah, why not another kind of companion impulse, right? That wants to keep, picking at this to to create or recreate or reassign or re-up that there's a boundary field. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Funny.
so I'm not sure what we're getting at with that last thing you said.
Don't you want to be free of every imaginable encumbrance?
I reckon.
I reckon.
Why the hell you think we came here?
Hey, that's
Right.
sufficiently committed. I'm not asking you for a full boat. You can put your toe in the water.
How much is it gonna cost?
Yeah, really.
Put a price tag on that there.
That's how much I
Buckaroo.
hate myself that day.
Yeah. Some days you're not that motivated for absolute freedom because you're not hating yourself so bad.
Hey, some days everything
Uh-huh.
seems to be working.
Yeah, I'm completely marginal, and my loyalty and interest in things vacillates with the degree of self-hatred that I may be enjoying or not.
Although it may be that when you're at your apex of self-hatred, that's the time that you're clinging the most. You'd be least willing to give up that notion
Yeah, I mean, I
of
Hmm.
holding on to something.
Yeah. That's like the monkey with the holding on the nut,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, dude, let go of the nut. Are you fucking crazy? Don't you want to
It'll
get out of
go
the
away
trap?
if I let go.
No, I can't let go of it. Let go of the nut. No.
yeah,
Yeah. So, right.
yeah. Who knows, right? I mean,
Yeah. We do that. Yes.
well, if it's sort of the thought stream that says, "Well, it's never going to happen to me," like Eeyore.
Eeyore is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Eeyore. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Really.
Slip rock, or
You do
oh,
that very well.
I got too many attachments. Or, I don't
Well, yeah. I mean, that's
know.
how clever the myth of incarceration
Yeah.
can be, right? Because it suggests individuation, durability of individuation, and then assigns on a scale of 1 to 10 just how likely or unlikely you are to be in fucking lightened. I mean, you can play that game,
Mhm.
day in and day out.
Yeah, like
Yep.
your Wiseman score or something. I just learned that from watching a TV show. I know it.
Yeah.
Says here, like I should be enlightened because I don't really have that many attachments and my fears I've let go. So therefore,
Yeah. That's right. That's right. You want to rescore yourself.
Yellow Brick Road to waking up.
Yeah, like a personality test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Like your IQ or
Yep. Yes. See, if belief wasn't running, belief as mentation, rumination, right? Storytelling. If belief's not running, you're unenlightened? What? You're enlightened? What? Your chances today are 6.7, you know, and the barometer is low, high. 70% chance of enlightenment. Bring an umbrella.
There'll be a morning shitstorm with a chance of
I know, a morning
70% chance of
shitstorm.
enlightenment and
Right.
sunset. at six.
Heavy fog,
Yeah.
followed by a morning shitstorm. Torrential irrelevance and flooding.
Muggle flooding.
egoic flooding.
Egoic flooding.
Things may clear in the afternoon.
Things may clear in the afternoon, to be followed by nobody likes you and low visibility. That would be a good website. Psychic weather report. Type in your birthday and how you're feeling today.
Oh, I'm sure they already have it.
I'm sure they do. The they that do those kinds of
The
things.
they.
Not the Google.
The they. Any, you could say any investment in a remedial approach is empty calories. But most of the big money in the spiritual marketplace is right dedicated to remedial intervention.
Well, it's pretty consistent with the rest of supposedly how we live your life. I mean, most of us go to the dentist and get our teeth cleaned, and
I just did that.
you know,
There you
yeah,
go.
like, and you know,
And it
there's
shows.
I know.
there's certain remedial things that most wise, normal people with the body take care of. I mean, it falls in line with that. It hurts.
Yes,
Something
of
like
course. Yeah, right. Going to psychics and swimming with dolphins and meeting fantastic healers and all that kind of stuff falls in line with the, consumerist habit of remediation.
Till you realize it's getting you absolutely nowhere.
Who knows? Yeah.
There's been experiences of, physical issues, supposed physical issues, whatever,
Right.
that I really find that there's a distinct lack of, oh my God, I have to do something about this. I mean, if it were something life-threatening, sure, I'd probably take some action, but
Yeah.
it's almost like even that kind of goes out the window. Like that thrust of, I've got to fix this. It's like, you start to lose track of how long it's been here, what's been going on. Like it's just a different experience of the thing.
Yes. Disembodied joy can appear dissociatively.
How do you get anything done? And yet things get done.
No one knows how anything gets done. Yeah. And if we think that, things are getting done because of my skilled, right, thought stream and prioritization, powers of prioritization and execution, you are mistaken.
Yeah.
We'll see you around.
See you, Jamie.
See ya.
Thanks for coming.
out.
See you next time.
Keep up the plumbing.
Yeah, that
No
whole
choice.
agency thing is weird. Sort of still feels like
Yeah,
a false sense of awe for sure.
yeah,
Mm.
right. And this is streaming into view, and we think we know what to make of it, but we don't really know what to make of it.
Yeah.
And everything that we have made of it, evidenced by the oh so sanguine movement of contemporary society, is a shitstorm.
Hmm.
I mean, it's enough of a shitstorm to suggest, depending on who you read and what you're interested in, the survivability threshold of a species. Which might be just swell. Could be just swell. I don't know. Will the universe shed a tear if, Homo sapiens go out of business? I have not been invited to, the intergalactic council of those that would care. So I don't know whether the crisis of humanity is on their radar or not.
Is there really a crisis of humanity? Or is it nothing more than a fiction we all agree to? All you can really measure is what's in your own experience. That's it. Anything beyond that is just fiction.
Well, yeah, I mean, and if you attempt to measure your immediate experience, you might likely to have an encounter with immeasurability.
Total immeasurability.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which could be the absolute evaporation of sentimentality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not suggesting it's not love. It's just, strangely transcendent of what we have come to know as human sentiment.
Mm.
In the pursuit of security and money and influence and manipulating world markets through tragic geopolitical events. I mean, it could be kind of fun if you like to play chess at that level and have the financial means to do that. I don't know if even having vast powers of financial and political influence are ultimately all that satisfying.
They're all poor suffering suckers like anybody else.
You'd think, yeah.
Probably.
I mean, so if you have, let's say, if we behave selfishly on a very local or interpersonal level, then that's the sphere of our influence. But if we have a very profound sphere of influence, we're likely to behave selfishly there too. And it may have profound impact on a lot more, quote, people, but it's the same engine of, discontent. Yeah.
That's what I like about your political views. They're so uplifting.
Yeah. I don't like to, give the impression that this is some kind of like whitewashed enlightenment thing. Fuck
Don't
that.
come here to feel better.
It's also very interesting to, you could say, relax or begin to release from the entrapment of remedying one's psychic discontent, one's emotional discontent.
Yeah.
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 There's a lot of, call it energy or calories, consumed in the reporting on my irritabilities and then signing up for or seeking to ameliorate or remedy those irritabilities, hoping that a destination, whether in the future or perhaps as soon as possible, will relieve me of, right, my sense of being imposed upon. And if we withdraw from that reflex, something else might show up. You know, a curiosity, a dignity, something that someone might refer to as healing might show up.
It's actually a pretty profound gift when the best you've got
Mm-hmm.
stops working.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's like all flashing lights are saying, set it down.
Yeah, nobody starts a mystery school called Come to Failure,
Mhm.
right? Oh, I'm signing up for that shit. Yeah. Early discounted price.
Come feel with us.
Yep. We place too much confidence in the apparitional nature of experiencing. And it's truly a, you could say, a movement of grace when it occurs. That you yank that confidence back and see where else you might place that confidence. And the reflex, you know, to like not let go, right? The reflex to be mistrusting of serendipity, to take your hands off a steering wheel that wasn't connected to anything in the first place. You know, that's the tempest, right, of one's, call it, process. Calling it a spiritual process is, you know, silly. Jesus, take the wheel. Right?
Is it him?
So, you know, that fantastic country singer that won, you know, she was on, what's his name show? What was that, the singing show?
Which one?
No.
The original one. American
American Idol.
American Idol,
Oh, yeah.
right? The country singer. I forget,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, her name slips my mind. But on her
Kelly
first,
Clarkson?
no.
I don't really know that show.
Oh yeah. Anyway, she has a marvelous song called Jesus, Take the Wheel.
Mm.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand.
There it is. Jesus, take the wheel.
That's it.
Yeah.
That was like the theme of that week away from me.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
That
Right.
and how free do you want to be?
How free do you want to be is a little scary.
They're like the 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
And what backs it up is a steadily increasing realization that I don't have power over any of this crap anyway.
No, that's fun.
Thinking you actually have the power to control stuff and to make things happen just keeps sucking you in. Starting to notice you have no real cause,
Well, yeah,
no real influence.
That's the spontaneous anthropomorphization of the myth of experiencing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You start noticing it's like, holy shit, I'm not, I can't make anything happen.
No,
Not even with myself.
no.
And yet a lot of the times I still go around, yeah, I'm doing this. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm doing the right thing. or
whatever
I'm beating myself up
skills-
for doing the wrong thing.
Whatever skills you have, you know, it appears that you apply them.
Yeah.
I mean, the so-called continuity of your biologic viability is not up to you.
I met an old friend yesterday for the first time in a long time, and she was about my age, and that body's not going to last much longer. You can tell.
Okay.
Written all over.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, you know, who
Eat
says?
right.
Yeah. Who says? It's kind of luck of the draw, or you're screwed, or you've got a good one. Who knows? How much does it matter?
Kidneys, spleen,
Mm-hmm. Gallbladder.
gallbladder.
Damn.
Sure.
And we think that I still think, you know, that the well-being of the body is a big ass deal.
Yeah, of course. Why not?
Like a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, I don't think we have the power to sort of let that go. Either gets revealed to us or not, you know. Identification with me, my body.
Yeah, it's remarkable how or by what means that the quality free, characteristic free nature of present experience becomes so many objects and so many subjects, and then identified with as belonging to me. How, you know, the amorphous and elastic nature of what we refer to as consciousness can so easily draw an imaginary boundary field around itself called a body, you know, or a living room or an automobile. And it's all imaginarily presented. That doesn't suggest what's real as contrasted with what's unreal. Because even the notion of real and unreal is unreal.
That'll blow your mind.
And that this splurges completely non-deterministically, and yet has the magnification, the magical powers of magnification, whether through your eyes, any of the five senses, right, have a certain kind of motility, focus, spontaneously appearing shifting reference, including thought, right? The way that you attend to thought is also very discontinuous. It's not smooth, right? The way thought appears is like, what am I paying attention to? How I'm feeling, how I'm thinking.
Have a good memory, or remember something funny, or even think about the movie you saw the night before.
Yeah.
You can't even do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while thinking may or may not be going on, the degree of attention or investment in thinking is also completely right outside of your willful control. And you could say that that's vying with the data that's pouring in through all the other so-called senses, but nothing's really in competition. What's happening primarily? Am I seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, thinking? What's happening primarily? I don't know. And even if you were to consider responding to the question of what is it that's happening primarily, even the consideration of it changes what's happening primarily. So you're never sufficiently static to even answer the question, what's happening primarily? Because it doesn't stay still. And look at the cacophonous urgency of the data field that we might call five senses and consciousness. And then we say, oh, I think, I feel, I chose, I decided, I planned, I executed, everything's going my way. Get out of town. But if this, whatever this is or isn't, identifies with this unbridled and obstinate data field as self, with powers of choice making, right, decision and execution, everything is detrimental to that view. I mean, everything is actually detrimental to the view of I, me, my. But we're so good at ignoring it all.
Well, we think it's the opposite of that.
Yes, we do. We think that everything is actually perfectly realizable evidence of I, me, my. When it's not. When everything is actually saying, I'm sorry, no. No, I, me, my, no, sorry. 86 on the I, me, my. Look at this shit.
It's kind of like there's this entire symphony going on.
Oh, yes.
And we're this little, almost minuscule mouse squeak in the corner, but we think this mouse squeak in the corner is the whole thing. But there's this symphony that's like huge.
Well, the yes,
really
the I, me, my.
Mouse squeak.
You could say the I, me, my, were it, if it had symptoms, and it's not real, and so it doesn't really have symptoms, but for the sake of exploring it, you could say I, me, my is a myopic habit, a myopic reflex that can only be proud of itself by not paying attention. Once I, me, my, whatever that might be, starts to reconsider all of the evidence that's been presented to the jury, it's like, fuck. Whoa. There might not be I, me, my. Same evidence. I'm just looking at it differently, looking at it freshly. You know, that's the yoga of radiant presence, to coin a phrase.
I've heard that somewhere before.
I've heard that someplace before. A refreshed reconsideration of the maddening elegance of your present experience could possibly result in a different conclusion than I, me, my. And that has more cojones than any remedial intervention. Because it's a rug pull whoosh, at the basement, at the bottom. It's a rug pull at the bottom. You know, whereas any kind of remedial intervention is at least 30 floors up. You're not going to shake the building very well from 30 floors up, but if you pull the foundation out, like those clever fuckers that took down 911, that was no airplane when they blew out the sub-basements. But that's another matter. That's too controversial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense that you can just put an airplane into a skyscraper and take it down like that. That makes no sense.
You can't.
whatsoever.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and instant vaporization in free fall. What weapon did that? Excuse me. What? A fire did that? Instant vaporization in free fall? What? What? What?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny how many engineers would be happy to buy the government story with no hesitation. That's how deep what is that thing? We talked about it before when
Just look at the difference
mass
in mass.
hysteria, dissociative response to something that just can't be understood.
The
That has a
difference in
name.
mass between an airplane and that skyscraper.
I know.
Come on. You're not going to tip over. You're not even going to tip it over or hardly make a dent. Just
No.
hitting it with an airplane. Something else heavier taking it out.
Yeah. But 9/11 is just a kind of entertaining metaphor for one's egoic temerity, egoic
Amen.
tenacity.
I'm riding the government train.
Ooh, 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 ooh. It's your birthday. Ooh, 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 ooh.
They may suck me into the belly of the beast before it's all over. Who the hell knows?
There's all kinds of ways to make a living.
Jesus.
Hey, you could counsel sex offenders.
I used to take the Buddhist guidance that you do no harm in your vocation. I used to take that seriously and really consider myself a massive failure. Like, but I got.
I know, yeah.
I'll
Do
just
no harm in
what
your
I
vocation.
got.
What's left? Sell Buddhism. Right? That's the
I
only
love
thing that's
that.
left is sell
I
Buddhism.
love that.
And that turns out to be harming anyway.
On the Simpsons Sunday night, Marge and Homer take their family to therapy, and he said, "Well, I stole the Altoids from the waiting room, and that's all anybody's ever gotten from therapy."
Is that what Bart said?
That was Homer said.
Homer
Mm.
said. All right. Go Homer.
Nice.
Awesome.
Real nice.
Awesome.
Uh-huh.
Jesus Christ.
People who make you food, they're good people, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
You can't get on the people suck or the people are great bandwagon. Either way, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It's just like a mixture.
You come back to the immediacy of what we refer to as present experience. There is no actual present experience, but we just suggest that as a metaphor. And by doing that, or at least playing with the notion that you could actually kind of catch up with present experience, you can't, but again, we play with it. So let's say you could catch up with present experience, meaning you can just kind of like, all right, what the fuck is this? What's going on, right? And you can get a glimpse of the impersonal, serendipitous, radiant profusion of that this is occurring and absolutely impersonally occurring. And that in itself, it amounts to nothing, right? It's not really a remedy for anything.
Nothing you can take home. We're not going to put it in
No.
the bag and bring it home and use it later.
You could say by committing yourself to be a reduction sauce under your own gaze. You're simply watching yourself boil off.
I like your analogy there.
But the revelation of, non-dual unicity, and of course that's too thick, which in Wayne's parlance would be the revelation or the release from false sense of authorship, right? It's just this. But you don't take up the call to either celebrate yourself or denigrate yourself for the appearance of authorship or the appearance of the cessation of authorship. It's not like Wayne Lickerman, as much as I loved him, used his own mnemonic device to release himself from suffering. He didn't. And yet we can report on, liberation with any clever word forms. But that doesn't necessarily serve to release the aspirant because it's so quickly fetishized, right, as a subject-object thing or as a quality from which I'm suffering, that if I could will myself out of the quality, I wouldn't suffer anymore. That's the implication, you see. So even bringing up or repeating the false sense of authorship as why one is suffering as a perhaps key to release from suffering is, forgive me, it's not correct. It's misleading.
Is that after the effect too? After the fact, I meant, what am I? Like that would just, okay, so if you practice mindfulness and you do the work and you remind yourself it's false sense of authorship.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you realize you're selfing and you say, who thought that thought,
Yeah, if you go, who am I?
Who am I?
And you notice,
Yeah.
right? You do
You know what
everything
I
that all the gurus have told you to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do it. You do everything the gurus have told you to do, and you will end up with a slice of wasa bread and some cream cheese. That's all you'll end up with. Yeah, because none of the gurus that sell the remedies for you to consider got to their own realization through the application of that remedy. Not a single one of them. Ramana Maharshi did not wake up because he was sitting around going, who am I? He didn't.
Yeah.
Byron Katie did not wake up because she did the work on her misery. She did not. Wayne Lickerman did not wake up because he considered that he might be under the sway of a false sense of authorship. He did not. Peter Brown did not wake up because he was sitting around noticing. He didn't. Nisargadatta did not wake up because he said, I am that. None of them. Not a single one. Not Ramakrishna, not Siddha Rameshwar. None of them. Not Jean Klein. Jean Klein was looking at some fucking geese.
Had he done anything before?
Sure. Of course. But isn't it weird that not a single one of, you could say, enviable personas or celebrities that have enjoyed the great, fantastic Wizard of Oz accomplishment of enlightenment got there by doing what they profess you should do?
It is pretty funny.
That's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah. Well,
What did the Buddha do? What did he was sitting under the fucking Bodhi tree going hamana, 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 hamana? No.
Adyashanti supposedly got there, but even he says that he couldn't get there that way and he had to figure out a different way.
No. It's too weird.
He said he'll admit he was an utter failure at meditation. And he realized he couldn't get there.
And what's the nature of the revelation?
But it's
Well,
not because the whole idea is like, it's just mysterious and you can't, I mean, we're all here. We're here tonight. We're here.
that's a good idea. It's all mysterious.
Nothing better
It's all
to do
mysterious.
because we're
Doesn't do anything for me, I mean, not saying just me. I mean, it doesn't do anything for anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all mysterious.
Yeah.
Next,
have fun.
right? Can I get a half a pound of the Alpine Swiss? It's all mysterious. And that roast beef looks good.
Well, that does something, right?
Yeah.
Taste it. It feels good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
May not make you enlightened, but it might make you feel.
Well, who cares about enlightenment when you're eating salmon spread on a wasa toast? Fuck that.
Life is good.
I mean,
I guess enlightenment is always only an issue when
when you don't have salmon spread.
you don't have salmon spread, or if you're just eating a dry wasa cracker and you're like, this sucks.
Oh yeah, dry wasa?
Yeah.
Bad news.
If only I was enlightened, because this is so dry.
Master,
There's no fat in it.
I got some dry wasa bread. Clearly that's not enough. Go in search of spread. And bring back some cold ones. Mm-hmm. You see, once you suggest that there is a genesis or an explanation for the appearance of suffering, you're fucked. Now you've justified it by thinking that you know why the imagination of suffering occurs. And then you go on to suggest, oh, like the Buddha did, what a jerk. Oh, suffering occurs because of the false sense of authorship. No, it doesn't. Suffering occurs because of attraction and aversion. No, it doesn't. Sorry, it does not. But you can see how easy it is to enroll. Well, Wayne told me it was the FSA, so I got to get over that as soon as possible. The Buddha told me it was attraction and aversion. Therefore, I am going to, avoid the world, wear robes, take vows, and commit myself to no more attraction and aversion, and good luck. It's not going to work.
It's a manipulation usually. You buy into that stuff because you want an angle into alleviating your suffering.
The release, if there is a release, and there's not really a release because there's nothing that's ever been incarcerated. So incarceration in terms of a preponderance of imposition or the release from preponderance of imposition are absolutely mythic. That's thin. That's a thin slice. Because you can only hint at poetically why the apparition of suffering may be appearing as the apparition of suffering. You can only hint at it for fun. Chutes and ladders. Muleborns. However that's pronounced. You can't say why. And that's fun, because if you can't say why the apparition of suffering is appearing, then it could be, perhaps as liberatingly mysterious as liberation is liberatingly mysterious. Now you're not imposed upon, not by suffering or even the release from suffering. You don't even care about it anymore, right? Right? I'd say right, like I said, if it's right, it's not right. It's, it's just, who knows? Who knows what the fuck? If you look into the, let's call it the root evidence for the presumption of continuity of self, you're just going to find an incredible field of absolute discontinuous abstraction. If you think that everything that you've thought and experienced is the actually evidence for the continuity of you, you haven't looked closely enough. You're only considering the profusion of your own mentality to be evidence for the continuity or the genesis of you. That's because you're not looking close enough. If you look really close at it, you're like, no, this is just a bunch of bullshit.
Well, it's not a look close at it, like use your mind to look close and analyze. And
no, it's not that.
it's not like that.
But it can feel like that. I mean, you use mind, you use vocabulary, you use practices, you use devotions, you use purifications. You use everything at your disposal on the journey of taking a really intimate look at the presence of experiencing itself.
What else are you going to do?
What else are you going to do? Do another salmon spread, maybe. Are we done?
I need to go.
I don't even know what time it is.
It's 2 a.m.
That's the thing.
Oh, night sky slumber party.
Yeah, you never
You
know.
never know.
Like, where are we?
It's well, it's 9:08.
Oh, okay.
We've done enough. We don't need to beat this any longer. We'll beat it again tomorrow.
We'll beat off again tomorrow.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. See you around.